so I am Dr. Gwennetta Wright, tax industry educator and serial entrepreneur. I own Expert Tax Service and Expert Business Solution. I've been in the industry, the tax industry, for 22 years. You can find me on social media on all outlets at Expert Tax Service. Unfortunately, it's spelled with the X and not an E. And also, you can find me personally at Gwennetta Wright.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today I got Dr. Wright, and she's going to give y'all some tax game. And this is going to be very crucial because some of you have committed a crime already because you haven't filed. And you might not pay your tax, but you surely got to file your tax or you're going to have a problem and you might be locked up and they won't let you out. So, Dr. Wright, welcome to Diversified Game. How are you doing?
How are you? Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Good morning.
Yes. Thank you. And you guys did not hear, but before we got on, I said, you know, she came on ready for the Breakfast Club. She's ready for TV. So I want from Charlemagne to anybody else that I may know who might peep this, check Dr. Wright out because we need more people helping folks with taxes. Can you tell me, let's just start right there. What is the biggest mistake that you see people making with their taxes? I know you probably see it 100 times a season, if not a week.
So I'm about to give you two because I'm going to have to give you on the individual side and then on the small business side. So on the individual side, people who are employees, the biggest thing that we have a problem with in the industry is people not paying their taxes. We get so many people who come in, and when they give us their W-2 and we look in the federal tax withholdings, it's absolutely nothing there. And in a lot of cases, depends on what deductions you qualify for, they end up owing. Or they get a small refund and they was expecting something big. So the biggest thing is people understanding what they are supposed to do when it comes to their withholdings on their jobs. And then on the flip side, when you come to small business owners, it's small business owners not understanding what deductions they are supposed to write off and what is legally they're able to write off. So of course, when people come in to get their taxes done and they're a small business owner, they want to write everything under the kitchen sink off, but they don't realize that the IRS got laws and guidelines, and everything that you think you can write off is not necessarily a write-off.
Okay, I almost want you guys just to rewind all of that because when people, and again, I used to be guilty of this 2 decades ago, where when I learned that you could get your uniform and the ironing, and I'm being told by the medical professionals, wait, you can do what? But you can't do, all of your meals, especially now anymore. The rules have changed in 20 years. It was a time you can't do certain things you're gonna chalk up. And you bought that box of wine. I remember my CPA telling me you bought that box of wine yourself. You can't send that. But what do you think it is? Is it TikTok where people think they have, or AI where people think they have more knowledge than they really do versus somebody who has been tested and trained with experience like yourself?
So in this day and time, of course, it would be social media because people are not just on there trying to educate and be experts in an industry. A lot of people are trying to go viral. A lot of people are trying to do clickbait. So they're going to tell you what you want to hear. It might not necessarily be what the law actually means or what you're supposed to go by. But of course, I definitely put social media is a real issue when it comes to, people thinking they can do more than what they can do when it comes to taxes. But then I also think it's like the lack of education just overall in America around taxes. I don't think we talk about taxes enough for people to really understand like how the different credits and the deductions work. Because for instance, when you go drop something off at Goodwill, they say, oh, this is tax deductible. But it is tax deductible, but if you're not itemizing, it don't even count. So it's so many different things that come into play that people are just not educated about and nobody talks about it.
You said two key things that I love, law and education. And just for the folks, I know I have more listeners than YouTube or wherever you guys experience this, but I had asked Dr. Wright, I said, about her education, and she flat out said, I have an honorary. And y'all know sometimes I get on them because some of y'all pretend like y'all did brain surgery with these degrees, and somebody who has a few, I sometimes say, come on, just say it's honorary, because not everyone's honorary is the same. But she's been very open and honest and not trying to put on airs. And I like what you're doing on social media, except I did not see a YouTube channel or one that had you full of love and with that energy. Like, you got energy. I might have something for you at the end of this. I'll tell you off fair, because people need your game and they need your personality, and YouTube pays the most. My real job, I'm a consultant. I'm a sports agent, whatever people call me, but it's to help people. And I'm helping all of y'all by saying this: stop giving TikTok and Instagram your best content, because they pay the least. There's like a 1% that they pay, the buku bucks, but most people are getting pennies versus YouTube and having your own website, of course, with membership. But I like you. So we gotta go deeper on this. And I'm thinking, even for clients, when you talk about taxes, are you also a CPA or connected to a CPA where people can say, look, I need bookkeeping, I need a CPA, I need a tax pro for myself and my business? Give them the game on how you cover people and what you don't do, because I know people come to you for everything and you ain't their mama.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think when we talk about America and different things, like, they group all those things together. And so let me just break each one down for you. So you can have a tax preparer, someone who could just come off the street and they just automatically take a class, start doing taxes. That's actually what I did. But I didn't just become a tax pro. I made sure that I went to IRS forums. I made sure I took webinars. I make sure I get continuing education every year. I make sure I read the IRS website. I make sure I read the IRS publication. So I didn't just become a tax pro for data entry. I became a tax pro that I wanted to educate actual taxpayers in reference to making sure they understand the laws when it comes to their taxes. Then you have CPAs and bookkeepers. Some CPAs and bookkeepers, they do taxes. Some of them don't. Some of them strictly focus on balancing your income and your expenses, so that at the end of the year, when you go to a tax preparer, you know what your numbers are. Everybody's not the same. Then you have tax planning, right? People think that taxes is only seasonal. A lot of times you can save money when it comes to your taxes if you prepare in advance to understand and position yourself for deductions. Then you have tax resolution. That is for people who have balances with the IRS and they need help selling those balances. So it's different positions in the tax industry. Myself, I am a tax professional who get continual education every single year. I prepare individual income tax returns with small businesses who have not elected to be taxed as an S corp. But I'm also a tax educator. I also teach other tax pros on how to build tax businesses and educate their clients as well. But I also teach EAs and CPAs and accountants to do the same thing, so that they can introduce certain things to their business. So everybody's the same, and I think we just wrap everybody up together. Certain companies like myself, we might partner with a bookkeeper or a tax resolution person or somebody who does tax planning. And as a taxpayer, I think it's very, very important for us to know there's a difference in each role. Everybody play a different role.
You've tried it your way, but you're still in debt. Or maybe you're doing okay, but want to invest smarter, grow faster. MillionaireX.ai gives you real step-by-step strategies to ditch debt or stack wealth. Stop dreaming and start planning. Visit millionairex.ai today. I want you to be the next millionaire next door.
Thank you for giving that game, because I mean, people think from PR to marketing to sales is all the same thing. So I can understand when people lump you in. And education is, all that, road manager, all that. And you have a TV experience. I'm gonna let you say if you want to say too much, but you also are a graduate of Steve Harvey's program, and I oh yeah. Sometimes I ask questions I already know the answer to. I'm just saying yeah.
Okay.
But I love that, and shout out to I know you also went to Troy University. I'll tell you my Troy connection off air. I don't let that be known. But shout out to Troy University. Love y'all, and y'all know why. But but with that, education is important. What about reading? What would you tell somebody right now if they say, look, I want to do that? You're a real estate agent as well who's passed the test. What should somebody start reading if they're like in that, at least I've had those jobs where you're like, man, I need to get out of here. This is not the spot. I don't want to be here. What is something, reading or a conference, that you would tell somebody, go to this and this is going to change your life? And it might be your own workshop. You let me know.
So it's a couple of things. One of the first books I read before I became an entrepreneur 20 years ago was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that's you understanding liabilities and assets and just how money flows, right? Then, Think Rich, Grow. Is it Think Rich, Grow Rich? By Napoleon Hill?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
yep.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So those types of books is important when you're trying to elevate, when you're trying to go to new heights in even your career or being a small business owner. Why? Because it changes your mindset in reference to education and opening your eyes to something different. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people are stuck in certain things because we are not surrounded around things that pushes us to want to be elevated. Conferences wise, I am in a mastermind. I believe in mentorship. So I am in TSP Mastermind. It stands for Traffic, Sales, and Profit. They have a conference every single year in June called TSP Live. I recommend every single business owner to attend that conference. Why? Because I know in the world we have so much and so many people who throw on conferences, and it's just about inspiration and motivation. And you go in there and you're like, how can I need some information to be able to apply to my business so I can make revenue, so I can know how to get clients, so I can know how to service clients. And that program, that event does all of that. And also, of course, if you're in the tax realm, you need to come and see me. I have a due diligence boot camp because I teach tax pros not only how to build their businesses and make money, I teach them how to keep money and how to be compliant in the tax industry. And I host a due diligence boot camp every single year. And any tax pro that's listening, you know the terminology. You know you have to be compliant. And if you don't know how to get your files together, I am your girl.
Before I ask my next question, since you like Napoleon Hill, and he has, various works that are great, but have you ever read his book? And it's not what you think it is if you haven't, so don't be scared. Outwitting the Devil. Mm-hmm. Have you ever read that one? Check that one out.
Is it a mindset book?
It is a book that it'll flip your mind. The book could only come out after he was dead, and the audio book will trip people out, and it's free on YouTube as well, but you can get it at your local library. But that book, like if you ever wanted to know what the devil and why the devil did what he did, and some people won't read the scriptures. Some people don't want to, even tap into that, but
Right.
tap into that book and you'll see, and the devil's telling you why he does what he does, because folks are going to keep falling for it every time. When they used to tell us, put it in a book for us not to know. Yeah, but that's for everybody, really, especially in America, because everything is so fast, everything is so abundant. When I go to different countries, people are like, man, you guys got internet everywhere, and we're like internet junkies, and we're just all guilty. But my next question was going to be, if they come to you and they're in that realm, or they want to even learn more, even if they're a business owner, they just want to learn more, can you please give us some ranges of what things cost? Because some people are so intimidated by paying another person, especially if they're Black. They're like, wait, why I gotta pay you? Why can't I pay? That other ice is colder. I want them to know what the range is, because I don't want them coming with $5 or even 500 thinking that they got 55 hours of your time. And that in 20 plus years has been an experience of mine with us. It's like we say go Black, but we don't really want to pay the Mercedes price, so I want people to know this is what it's going to cost when you go check it out and do your research and say, this is right for me. What are the ranges of that, tiers, if you have it?
So when we talk about tax prep, my fees are usually basic tax returns starting at $300 and up. Just depends on the complexity of the tax return, the different types of forms that might have to be used. Depends on if you are a small business owner or if you just a employee with some dependents. So that price range, but it goes from $300, usually doesn't exceed $800 for individual returns. Business returns can start at $8 and up. Just depends on what you have. Now, when you talk about my niche is tax pros. That's who I mentor to. That's who I have programs for. And the price range from there can start as low as $9 all the way up to $10,000. I have products and services for every budget. So I have digital solutions online where you can actually purchase the different information that I teach in my programs that can range from $9 to $349. I have where I have mastermind programs that start as low as $2,597 that can go up to $7,500. I have programs where I have boot camps that I actually train tax pros every single month. The price can range from having a $47 training to having a $499 training. So a lot of my programs fit every budget and my product.
Hello everyone. Join us on an exciting journey with Explore the World Cameroon. London and Sydney go take you explore Cameroon, the heart of Africa. Experience the vibrant culture, nature, and traditions from Yaoundé market to rainforest adventures. Every page na new discovery. Join the Cameroonian food, music, and wildlife with our explorers. This book na true celebration of Cameroon spirit. Get your copy now. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and through your library and bookstores via Ingram's Park. Don't miss this adventure.
Nice. When you said $9, I said she got something for everybody for $9. If you tell me you don't have $9, I'm gonna ask you why I see you in that Starbucks or at the hookah lounge. You had $9 for that. What's a myth or something that people think, well, if I'm a sovereign citizen or something, I don't have to pay tax? What's something that you keep seeing, also something else that people are mistakes that people are making?
So people who drive Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Amazon, gig economy workers. So a lot of them get 1099s and a lot of them might not get 1099s because in order to get certain 1099s, you have to meet a certain income threshold. So a lot of them feel like they do not have to report it on their taxes, or, it's not taxable. But the IRS says that regardless if you get a 1099 or not, any income that you earned is taxable, whether you get a 1099 for or not. And so what I see a lot of is a lot of gig economy workers not reporting their income, and then it coming back to bite them.
People sometimes think this is a boring business. They like taxes is boring. But I say, you know what's exciting? Having to tell the judge, no, Your Honor, I didn't mean to, violate. Can you tell us a situation where somebody should have came to you long before and they try to get you in like the fourth quarter, and, just something to maybe somebody might hear that and say, wow, that's my situation if I don't jump on this? Because once somebody is going to have a hearing, it's too late. I mean, you can only do so much for somebody. You got the platinum bracelets on you and everything. But, I'm sure you've seen your cases of please help me. I ain't got nobody else. So
it's a couple of things. So one thing I need to say is I do not do tax resolution. And so that's another business in the tax industry. People who usually have tax problems, they're going to either go to an attorney or someone who EA, which is called an enrolled agent, somebody who specializes in tax resolution that actually deal with that type of work. Now, what I can say, what people have done recently, a lot of taxpayers, in reference to them waiting to the last minute to come to someone when the issue has came out, is this one particular situation I'm actually dealing with currently, where it was a taxpayer who went to someone to get their taxes done. And we have these thing called the dirty dozen. And it's a lot of fraud in the tax industry. People are always looking for some extra money. They don't care how they get it, long as they get it. And a lot of times people come into tax companies and they don't know what people are doing on their taxes. Some people do know what they're doing on their taxes. So this particular taxpayer, they actually got this thing called a fuel credit. It's not a common credit, but it's a common fraudulent credit. And the IRS has caught on to it. They have put filters in their system to catch on to them. So the lady has a real business. She tracked her income great. The person she went to did the tax return. They disregarded her real expenses. They disregarded her real income, and they just put the fuel credit on there to get her a refund. Well, she got flagged by the IRS. When she got flagged by the IRS took the credit off, but she had a 1099 that she didn't report over $100,000. So the IRS went back and calculated her taxes once they took that fuel credit off. And now she's currently owed the IRS like $91,000. $91,000. And so what we had to do for her, and she kept getting letters from the IRS and she kept ignoring them. So her case actually ended up getting closed. So if you do not respond to the IRS with the due date that they have on the letter, they can close your case and then just make you pay whatever amount they have assessed. In her case, she allowed them to close her case. And so what we had to do was this thing called a reconsideration. Even though I'm not a tax resolution person, I do some tax resolution in my business. So we had to do a reconsideration to try to get the IRS to reopen her case so that she can submit her actual documents, her actual numbers, so that she wouldn't be left with a $91,000 balance. And we're currently working on that now. And the crazy part about that story is, in the midst of that, she ended up getting a letter from the IRS with another $5,000 penalty for having that fraudulent credit on her taxes. And what a lot of people don't know is, if the IRS deemed that you are filing a frivolous tax return, they can penalize you. And for her, because that person put that on her taxes, she now has an additional $5,000 penalty. So that the fine is actually now $96,000. Well, the balance due now is $96,000.
And can you tell me, because I'm all in people's head. It's part of my job to kind of figure out why people do what they do. But why would somebody, how much cheaper would it have been to find you and a whole team beforehand, then wait till somebody catches you, right? It's like when I used to eat all the cookies before everybody could wake up in the morning. Like everybody wasn't gonna know, they called me sugar daddy. Didn't eat all the cookies as a kid. What is it, especially in our community? It's not just our community, it's really an American problem, but I want to focus on us because I believe you are in Georgia, and I want, it's a lot of us, and I'm here in South Florida, right? Thank you for dancing. I was off key. I know, folks. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm from California, and I've lived in all the coast and even the Midwest, and I see the same issues. But what do you think it is where a lot of us put it to the side and we don't want to go seek out the knowledge and seek information and game that you have beforehand, knowing that we heard of taxes? We heard James Brown and so many others and Bernie Madoff and all these people going to prison for, evasion. What do you think that is? Because it's cheaper to, eat healthy rather than to, get your kidney or your lung or something else, colonoscopies, because, you're a glutton or whatever. What is that about our culture, especially because it would have been cheaper for her?
So we always want something for nothing. That's number one. We always want something for nothing. And then it goes back to what you said earlier, like taxes is boring. It's not enough education around it. When you think about taxes, you only really hear about what you can do to reduce your taxes. They don't talk about the law part of it. They only talk about deductions. What can you write off? It's so much more to taxes than that. And because of that, people just they're used to getting certain things. And so when they come to tax companies, they're only expecting refunds. They're expecting not to have a big tax bill because that's what the people in the world have deemed them that can be done. And I also blame the IRS, if you just want me to be honest with you. Because one, they don't have the education around so that people can understand how serious it is. And then number two, so many people have got away with frauds and doing things so many years and never getting caught up that people will be willing to take that gamble because they maybe done it before and then it didn't affect them. What people don't know, and I like to always break it down when it comes to the IRS system, is that, first of all, the IRS system is a modernized e-file system. So they're not going to see everybody's tax return. When we submit returns or transmit returns to the IRS, it goes through a computerized system. The only time the IRS is going to actually review what's on your tax return is if you are flagged or if later on they flag you. Outside of that, it's so much fraud that goes through the system that so many people have got away with it for years. They keep trying it unless they get caught. And they feel like if they never got caught before, that they're not going to ever get caught.
And that's for her next book and future YouTube channel, our video. Because I just think about if that 91,000 was put into a mutual fund like VTSAX, the stuff Warren Buffett talks about, or a small cap value, and even in just 20 years, that's over 330,000, could be 610,000, depending what the market looks like, So, and that's what I'm always telling my clients, because you got to have some money to afford me. I say the money that you waste is the millions that you missed. Bars. So it's just it perplexes me because we all want to make some more money to do nice things for even other people, and our community has plenty of money, and it's not just the ball players and Oprah, it's the plumber, it's electrician making $200,000 plus. And with that community, if we had community and you got taxes, I got the electrician part, so let's make sure we come together, right? And I just it bothers me because what we could be doing versus what a lot of times we say, oh no, I ain't gonna go over there, she thinks she know everything, and it's really a low self-esteem. It's really a low self-esteem. But the first thing I did when I grabbed a couple dollars was talk to some experts about what I could do with this money, and getting a CPA that I could afford, because some CPAs, y'all are charging $1,600 for businesses that aren't even making $1 million. Y'all are tripping. But I got y'all for under $300 if you need help. IC Tax Advisors, check them out.com. But I'm always perplexed. Would you say the bulk of your clients are Black, or are you getting everybody? Because everybody has to deal with taxes.
So I have a diverse clientele. Of course, I do have, I would say the higher portion of my clientele is African American people, but I do have all nationalities that I service.
Okay. You service them, and again, on her YouTube. I said future, but it's just because she doesn't do enough, y'all. I was waiting for her to check me on that. She just doesn't do enough on her YouTube.
Let's talk about YouTube since you want to keep bringing it up, okay? All right. So
yeah.
I everybody had a jam, right? And mine has always been Facebook. It ain't even TikTok. It ain't even Instagram. Mine has always been Facebook. That's where I have got the majority of my clientele from Facebook. That is where I educate the masses at, and for Facebook. I actually do like a segment called Tax Talk with Gwen that I do every tax season, where I come every week to educate taxpayers, because again, my whole thing is, even people who are on the low income spectrum, it's a lot of things they don't understand. It's a lot of laws that they don't understand. It's a lot of things and credits they're getting that they don't supposed to get because they never been educated about it. And so I've always been a person that want to break it down, to show you how 1 + 1 = 2 in the middle, right? YouTube wise, I'm actually getting ready to do my YouTube channel finally. Okay. I'm actually going to kick it off in September, hopefully. So I'm actually working on it. I've got to the point where I do understand that long form content is very important for my brand. So I am coming over there. Okay. I'm coming over there.
Okay. Oh, you coming now? Is this the if I see your name out here, is this you that you have a channel already, or you just don't have any channel?
No, I do have I
the green print.
Yep, that's the green print. That's where I'm going to be putting my information out, on the green print. And then I actually have a talk show that I have. It's called Gwen Business Corner. It's on YouTube.
Okay. Hey, say that one. Gwen Business
Corner.
Ready to dominate your industry with strategy that actually scales? At Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm, we're not just PR experts, we're licensed sports agents certified in AI and elite business consultants with over 2 decades of experience leading global projects across multiple countries. Visit cprfirm.com, that's colemanprfirm.com, and millionairex.ai. Then download the Millionaire X app, your AI-powered guide to getting out of debt, investing smarter, and building generational wealth. Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm. It's a family business. It's different.
Because again, I can see that on the LinkedIn of the media, and I got to bring it up because you're smart. You have your voice is exactly what they need to hear. Because a lot of times people, and I have clients, especially from the South, and people will come up and say, and I'm saying this publicly because I want this nonsense to stop. You'll have people from the West Coast. I'm from California, Oakland, California. If you have a problem with anything I say, you know where I'm at. I'm not hard to find. We can, but even in New York, and they'll say, we like your client, but they sound too country. I said, well, do you know that the masses of Black folk come straight from the South? That's how our grandmother talk, and that's this and that. And, you probably would say the same thing when I leave this room. I sound too something, right? But you got the juice, as they say. I don't know if you're old enough, you might be like,
old. I'm actually old. I'm pushing 50, okay?
Okay, Black don't crack. So for those of you who only listen and don't watch, go over to watch because you wouldn't know. You don't know. People don't know sometimes how old I am until I take off this Grambling State hat. Then they see my hairline, and I earned my hairline. So it's no going to Turkey for me. Pops had the same hairline. That's how it's gonna be. But yeah, that's okay. So yeah, I just want to push that and encourage because YouTube wants the mess, and so you kind of sometimes, and it's the reason why our YouTube channel, I won't give them the mess, even though the team says, no, but if you take that one clip and make people think that she said, everybody should be rich. Now, we ain't doing that because this is for smart people who really want the game. So that, again, I don't have to do social media, so I don't. I used to, and we were kind of good at it back in the Black Planet MySpace days. made some good money, but we don't have to do that anymore. So my wife told me, you can be grown if you want, So I am, and I act like it. But I just want to encourage that because from the tax game, just hearing you talk about just life, people need to learn how to do life. And you might be somebody who they can just hear that not everybody had a good mother. Some people, I used to work with kids in psych wards and rehab centers. Some people didn't have parents, period. So somebody like yourself who has gone through life and can give that game, I just want to really encourage that. Do you have a book or working on a book or maybe even a documentary series, whether it's on your life or taxes, because you said something about the IRS that I hope they heard, because they really need to hire companies like yours to explain it to communities like ours. But we first have to do it so they can see everything we're going to bring. So do you have anything like a book, documentary, besides the TV and the workshops and everything else that you've said?
So yes. So I have a book on Amazon called Entrepreneurship the Right Way. So you can go catch that. I'm actually getting ready to be a speaker at InvestFest in a couple of weeks. And I am launching a new release called What Every Small Business Owner Needs to Know About Taxes That Nobody's Talking About. And that will be released on coming up in a week or so.
Coming up. Okay. Okay. In a week or so. So you guys will see this maybe just a week early. I'm not in control of all of that, but that book that she got, and she mentioned it's only $9.99. So folks, y'all who are in,
stop it. Not that book. Not that one. It's not. Now that was not $9.99. That was going to be $24.99, and you can get a hard paperback. And if you're a small business owner looking to be one, you definitely need to get it because that's exactly what I'm talking about in the book. Because it's too much information that, again, nobody is talking about when it comes to small business owners but me, and everybody don't hear me. Okay, so definitely grab the book. And I'm actually getting ready to celebrate my 20th year in business on September the 1st. And I will be releasing my pre-sale for my new book, which is called A Woman That God Built. Yes.
Got you. I was referencing the book that was on Amazon already, for $9.99. The right way. Yeah. And if anybody says, and if anybody says, I don't have the $9.99 on Kindle, do a free trial, soak up all the game that you can get, and with that game, maybe then you will next time have the $20 for the new book that's coming out, and so that is the way that you got to do it. Can you, because the IRS, I don't know if you ever do government contracting, but we do for the last 20 something years. And the government buys everything. So they really need to buy people who can go inside the communities and, whether you're in the community center or the library, and explain this. And they do, but they do it in such a boring, corny way. Like, never can we be like the army and bring out a Hummer and have the speakers blasting and letting people know, you better pay your tax. You better pay your tax. And just make it like a jam.
I love that. Okay. I love that. Okay. I love that.
Yeah, because we got AI now, so you have a whole album everybody now can make, and you don't have to have the studio money or nothing. You can go into these platforms and do what you do, but that's what could be done. But let the people know, what is a community give back that you're doing, or one that you would like to do, and if there's a way the community here can help you, please let us know.
So that's a great question. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I have had multiple businesses over the years. And one of the businesses that is like really, really dear to my heart is my nonprofit, which is called Reach for Your Dreamz, Inc. I've actually had it for, 14 years. It's been in existence for 14 years. And I started the nonprofit because I was giving back under my tax business name. And it was just best for me to go the nonprofit route. And so we do a toy giveaway and Christmas dinner every single year. I think this year is our 18th year or 19th year. Can't even keep up no more. So it's our 18th year, 19th year. And we give away 1,000 toys and feed 1,000 families in my hometown, Columbus, Georgia, every single year. For I think 11 of those years, we actually did it in the Columbus, Georgia area and in the metro area of Atlanta, like the outskirts, the south side of Atlanta, because it's where I live as well, every year. So we was used to give out approximately about 2,500 toys, feed 2,000 families every single year for Christmas, and we're still doing it. We are always looking for donations, and I don't just accept monetary donations. So monetary wise, if you would like to donate to my organization, you can cash out R4YD, or you can do paypal.me/reach for your dreams. Unfortunately, nobody did teach me how to simplify my stuff when I was younger. So dreams is spelled with a Z on the end instead of an S, Inc. Or you can reach out to me on social media at Gwennetta Wright, and if you would like to donate food, or if you're in one of the areas that I am in, or you would like to mail some toys so that we can give away, sponsor, donate, whatever you want to do, contact me at info@reachforyourdreams.org, or just again find me on social media at Gwennetta Wright. It's something that's truly been dear to my heart, something that we do. We don't just do Christmas giveaways. We just actually did a back to school giveaway 2 weeks ago, where we serviced 400 kids for back to school. And we do a lot of different things in the community. I believe community service is how you should lead in the world purposely. I also believe if God blesses you, that you are doing a disservice if you're not taking the fruits that He's given you and sowing it back into your community. So I'm really, really big on that.
Okay. And you were really big on taking those words, the Z, the X for expert, the right W. You guys look for a book, you say, is this the right? Again, you probably have your own lexicon, like my big uncle E40, and he makes up a word, or anybody from California, don't get into the gang members. They can't say B's or C's depending on what side of the city they're from. But I love that. And, the best is yet to come. For you, have you been able in your business? Is it a business where you've been able to replicate yourself, where you're able to, mentor or hire people? Or is it something that you're dealing with people's personal stuff and you just don't want to deal with the headache? Because some people are solopreneurs and some people want to have, 100 people on their team.
So I've never been a solopreneur. When I started my business 20 years ago, I started my business with my family and my friends. I actually started my business with 6 tax preparers under me. So I never been by myself. I always had an office assistant. And I think that's a part of why I have had a lot of success in business, because a lot of times people are starting out in their business as a solopreneur. And in order to scale, what people don't know is, so if you're stuck in your business, right now, and you're wondering, like, why can't I exceed the revenue I'm at? Why can't I grow? The problem is team. You can only go so far by yourself. In order to scale any business, you have to have a team. And so I've been truly blessed that today, my sister started out with me from day one, and she's still with me 20 years later. She's my right-hand woman. My best friend has been in the business with me for 18 years. Those two people, we do this together, so I'm never alone. And of course, I employ contractors and I have employees for my business. As you grow in your business, you got to add people to your team. I think it's important. And I don't think we're taught that a lot either. We're not taught a lot or nothing, really, to be honest with you. When it comes to business, you got to want to go out there and get it. A lot of people just have a talent or they have an idea and then they just go out there and do it. And then a lot of times the business fail. And the reason why it's failed, because a lot of this information is just not out here. And then you get it too late. And, it's a shame.
And before I go to my next statement, which will be controversial, you don't even have to say anything. But before I go to that, let me say, you also, with your contractors, this is coming from someone who has a master's in public relations, mass comm. She gets PR people, and that's how we found herself. And her PR professional now, not the one before, but now, Evan Washington, making Morehouse proud, making Epi Media proud. Miss Ebony, that man is golden and classic. Just the way he does things, I love it, because PR does not sleep. It doesn't sleep. So anytime got a question. So you have a good team. And again, that's somebody who publicists always ask me, you're not going to steal our clients. No, I don't need any more problems. And the problems that we have, they come to us, God-given, because they need us, because we don't just do PR. PR is actually the last thing we do. We consult. We're taking people to Africa and creating businesses for them. So no, but Evan is classic, man. But the other thing you say, what we're not taught, at what point, at what age? Because I remember being at the skating rink, Golden Skate, Danville, California, and I didn't live in Danville, and it was the teen club, basically. At what age do we then teach ourselves what we need to know? Because I've been working since forever, right? I want to say 16, but even before then, I just can't tell you what. I can't tell you all, but at what age do we say, you know what, it's not what we weren't taught, but we didn't seek that? Because we sought out, some of us, not me, to have four baby mamas. We sought out to have 4 Mercedes. We sought out to have, BBLs. And when I go to Atlanta, it's not just the women, y'all. My gosh, you don't know nothing till you go to Atlanta and you're like, what is going on? But at what age do we say it's our appetite to learn, our hunger, our thirst to get a passport and go to Kenya and say, Uhaligani, poa sana, Missouri sana. I want to learn. At what point do we throw out the excuses and say, it's us?
I think it's twofold to it, right? 3, really, if you just want me to be honest with you. I think one thing is the schools need to come up with curriculums that are for these times. I think that kids should be exposed to things when it comes to entrepreneur education and building relationships in school. I think middle school should be the topping point that kids are taught etiquette and relationship building, because that saying like your network is your net worth, that's not just a saying. Relationships are important for you to involve in business, and a lot of people run from, like, I don't want to make no new friends. I don't want to partner or collaborate. But the reason why is because we're not taught that we are really supposed to play with each other, right? So I would say as early as even middle school, right? So I think the school should adopt curriculums that focuses on audiences and etiquette and relationship building and networking and so many of those things that people need in the world and in this economy. That's number 1. Number 2, I think parents should be introducing those things to their kids at a younger age. Now, granted, it's a lot of adults who are not exposed to high level education, and I'm not even talking about college, but just things outside of what they was taught when they're in high school or they're taught in their environment. But a lot of people offer community programs. A lot of nonprofits, they go under when they're offering these types of services because people don't support it, even if they're free. I remember I had a program in my nonprofit called Yelp. We wasn't even being funded. And Yelp stand for Youth Entrepreneur Leadership. It was a youth entrepreneur leadership program where we taught entrepreneur education and leadership skills to teenage girls who were in high school to prepare them either for one, if they're going to go into the workforce, to be not just a regular worker, but to be a leader in whatever position they go in. And if they decide to go the entrepreneur route, then they're educated on entrepreneurship and leadership skills at the same time. So exposing your kids to that at a young age. We had that program. It was a free program, but it was like pulling teeth to get people to actually enroll their children in it, right? And then third, it's when you get out of high school and you don't know what you want to do when you graduate, it's time for you to pick up a book. It's time for you to explore things that you see online, to open your mind to bigger,
Okay, I love that. And I share that. Doing government contracting, sometimes the kids want to be paid now to come to a program. People,
they're not playing now.
Yeah, they want to be paid, and their parents want, you want our kids? Oh, we know our kids are the money. And when people go on these TikToks and talk about, well, to talk to women, you got to pay them, and to each his own. If you want to, if that's your thing, I'm going to tell you, read Iceberg Slim, because you in the way and you without the game. Donald Goins, you need to read some of that if you need to be paid to be talked to by somebody. But the kids even to come to programs want to get paid. And that's a problem, because we were running to the Boys and Girls Club and different programs to try to get the game, because there wasn't, again, too much to do at the house, or you couldn't come in the house, drop your bags off and go, do what you go to do. But times have changed, and it ain't all the kids' fault. It's the parents, it's the laws. I've worked for CPS. I've seen ridiculous cases of kids playing and getting called on, and they didn't look like you or me. And so it's just a whole different world. It's a reason why I go collect citizenships and residencies, because when this place get too weird, Doc, I'm out.
I know.
I'm out, enjoying myself in a whole nother country where things make sense. But you guys have got the game. Let the people know where they can find you again. For those who say, wait, what was that again? Look in the description box, y'all. But give them the game and any last words you want to leave them with.
So, to find me and I give daily knowledge out everywhere I go, because my brand values are to inspire, to serve, and to educate. So to find me on all social media platforms, you can find me at Gwennetta Wright. Also, you can find my business, Expert Tax Services. It's spelled XPERT, Tax Service, on all social media platforms as well. You're looking to get your taxes done, because there's a lot of y'all still have not filed. We run from filing our taxes. If you're looking for a new tax pro, you can check me out at www.experttaxservices.com. I'm ready to service you. You can be anywhere over the United States. It doesn't matter where you at. You'll get the same top service. And my last words is, know this: you can do and be whatever you believe you can be. But I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it's just going to come just because you believe. You have to put in the work. You have to be willing to sacrifice, and you got to be disciplined to get to your dreams and your goals. But don't ever let anything or anybody stop you from getting to the place that God has destined for you to be.
Amen to that. You heard it from the tax pro and the fashionista. Wait till she come out with her line, y'all. But I'm talking too quick. I'm talking in the future. You guys have got the game. Again, look in the description. Everything will be there that you need to connect. I thank you for making it to the end. You can comment. You can like, but most importantly for me, if you would share this with somebody, it could and will change their life. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.